What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progressive Vibe Podcast. I am your host, Dodrick. Today's date is July 17th, 2022. This is Season 6, Season Episode Finale 15, and the title, The Same Old Failing Playbook. Yes, the same old failing playbook by the Democratic Party. Just so over it, so infuriated, so frustrated, annoyed, all of the above. And I'm not the only person who's feeling like this. Majority of the country feels this way as well. Don't take my word for it. You're going to see it in the main show. So it should be a pretty insightful show, to say the least. So yes, on the season finale episode of the Progressive Vibe, we will get into an interesting article, shockingly enough, produced by Fox News. Yes, I said it, guys. Fox News. That reads, Biden lashes out at reporter asking about dismal approval among Dems. But before we get into today's episode at hand, quick programming notes. Thank you to the listeners of the Progressive Vibe Podcast for always showing enormous support for the show. However you choose to show support, whether that's giving it a thumbs up on social media, sharing the podcast on social media, sharing it with a friend or a family member, or even personally donating to the show, it helps the Progressive Vibe Podcast become a bigger voice amongst the masses to the issues that we all here care about. So again, I want to thank you for doing what you do. Couldn't do it without you. The Progressive Vibe Podcast is pretty much anywhere you can listen and download your podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the award-winning Good Pods app, Spotify, Anchor, which is the sponsor for this podcast. So yes, continue to spread the word, guys. It helps tremendously. There are two ways to get the link that directly takes you to the Progressive Vibe Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Dottie_Vibe. That's DODI_VIBE. And on my page, there is a direct link you can tap on, and it will take you to everything to do with the Progressive Vibe Podcast, as well as if you would like to make a contribution to the show. If you do not have a Twitter account, that's okay. Here is the direct address as to where you can search. It is Linktree/TP-Vibe. Again, that's Linktree, LIKTREE/TP-Vibe, TPVIBE. Last but not least, the Progressive Vibe is on Twitch now. I like to call it the Progressive Vibe After Hours because even though we might talk about politics, it's really just free play. Honestly, it's just whatever comes to mind for that stream for the day. I usually play cards, board games. I'll probably react to some videos. We've react to Karen videos in the past. So if it's something that, if that's something that you like, or if you're ever bored enough to check out the Twitch channel, come be bored with the Progressive Vibe After Hours podcast. We can all be bored together and react together, and it'll be fun, guys. It'll be fun. So again, my Twitch handle is the same as my Twitch handle, which is Dottie_Vibe. So if you have a Twitch account, you should just be able to look up Dottie_Vibe, and I should pop up. So yes, give your boy a follow. That would be absolutely great. And on that note, guys, let's get into today's main show. Hey guys, welcome to the main show. So, as I said in the intro, surprise, we have a shockingly enough interesting piece produced by Fox News. And again, the title reads Biden lashes out at reporter asking about dismal approval among his own party. And it also has a quote from Biden in the title that says, Read the polls, Jack. If anyone needs to read the polls, it's the Biden administration because the majority of this country thinks that by you not doing anything, as you said in your campaign run, nothing will fundamentally change. By you doing that, that's why your approval numbers are abysmal. See how that works? Now, as it relates to Fox News, guys, as I said in the intro, you know how I feel about Fox News, but I like to have a independent line of thinking here on the show. That's what we try to engage in. And just because I have my own set of media content that I rely on doesn't mean that I don't like getting other people's perspectives that differ from our own. Okay. So this is the first article that I am sharing with you guys on the podcast for the first time ever that has to do with Fox News. Um, Instead of me reading the entire article, we will listen to a quick, complete narration of the main points of the Fox News article. Okay. But before we get into that article, I wanted to say a few quick things about Fox News. For one, Fox News mainly engages in conspiracy opinionated news. Okay. The people who are popular on that network are the main people who engages in disinformation. Sean Hannity, um, what's his name? Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters. The list goes on and on. But it is also refreshing to hear a slim few within the Fox News apparatus that actually engages in reality when it comes to the news. They're actually on planet Earth. You know what I mean? And that's the bare minimum, obviously. But again, we try to be an independent podcast here and try to consume all different perspectives, not just our progressive perspective here on the podcast, even though that's the agenda, that's the narrative that we're trying to push here. Because as a whole, what does that do? The majority of the country is progressive. And that's just not my opinion. That's just based on polling. The majority of this country agree on issues that the country voted Biden into office over Trump because Biden had promises that he said he was going to do once he got into office. Now that he has reneged on those promises, he's suffering in the polls. It's just that simple. So let's get into this article.
Lashes out at reporter asking about dismal approval among Dems. Read the polls, Jack. More than 60% of Democrats in recent surveys said they wanted new 2024 nominee. President Biden became agitated and approached a reporter Tuesday after he was asked his response to a recent poll showing a majority of Democrats do not want him to seek re-election in 2024. Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again? The reporter asked at the White House congressional picnic. Biden, walking adjacent to the reporter, then paused in his tracks, telling the reporter that they want me to run and for him to read the polls. The reporter noted that roughly two-thirds of Democrats say they don't want him to run again in the New York Times survey. Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same. Biden continued as he slowly began walking up closely to the reporter and the camera. That poll showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me. Both the reporter and Biden then reiterated their claims to each other, with the reporter again claiming that a majority of Democrats do not want Biden to campaign in 2024, and Biden refuting the statistic, claiming it was quite the opposite. The interaction comes as the media has highlighted numerous polls that show Biden in hot water with American voters, including voters of his own party. The numbers that Biden and the reporter spoke on came from a New York Times Siena College poll conducted between July 5th and 7th. In this particular situation, the reporter was in fact correct in his assessment that a majority, or around two-thirds, of Democrats do not want Biden to seek the presidency again in 2 years' time. The poll revealed that a staggering 64% of Democratic voters agree that someone else should take the mantle in 2024. As for Biden's statistic of 92%, that number does appear in the poll, but is not attributable to a question about whether he should or should not run in 2024. Instead, the statistic is in reference to the fact that 92% of Democrats would still vote for Biden in a hypothetical rematch against former President Trump. The poll also highlighted a number of other notable insights into the national mood regarding Biden and his administration. The polling shows particular frustration among younger voters, showing 94% of Democrats under the age of 30 would prefer a different nominee. The poll also found that just 13% of Americans believe the country is on the right track.
There you have it. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put a quick pin in this. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss. Welcome back from the break, you guys. So, 64% of the Democratic voters as a whole don't want President Biden to run for a second term in 2024. The age group of people who are under 30 years old stands at 94% of Democratic voters who do not want Biden to run for a second term. 13% of the country say that the country is on the right track. 13%. Now, these are the poll numbers that Biden and his administration should be looking at, Jack, because it speaks volumes. It really does. The polling isn't looking good for Biden. Not just with Republicans, not just with independents, but within his own party. Now, in the article that we just listened to, Biden stated 92% of the party would vote for him is accurate. That's accurate. Okay. He didn't say a falsehood there, but he left off a certain caveat from the reporter's premise of the question, which is they would vote for you if they're stuck having to vote for you or Trump in 2024. Okay. If they were stuck voting for you, they would choose the lesser of two evils, is which what this country is known for as it pertains to the general elections. It's always choosing the lesser of two evils. It can't just be someone who is trying to progress the country forward. It always has to be too corporatist. whether it's Democrat or Republican. So I think the bigger point here is the party as a whole wouldn't want to be stuck with you as the candidate. And obviously Biden doesn't have a response to that premise of that question. How could he? You know, President Biden, you can actually do something to change that. Now, I do think the Democratic electorate can do something to change this scenario. Progressives have to win primaries. They just have to. That will, to me, and I think that would change the conversation, more importantly, with the mainstream media news. Um, Now, we heard some poll numbers in the news article that we listened to, but let's go over it again to hammer home the point. Okay. So 64% of Democrat voters saying they would prefer a new standard barrier in the 2024 presidential campaign. This is according to a New York Times slash Cena college poll, as voters nationwide have soured on his leadership, giving him a meager 33% job approval rating. Okay. That's horrible. Now, to me, that 92% that Biden was talking about in that discussion with the reporter, all it says to me and to the voters all across this country is when push comes to shove, when there's no one, when there's no other choice, the Democratic base, the Democratic electorate will vote for Biden. As a result, what that does is empower terrible Democrats, bad faith Democrats, corporate Democrats, whatever you want to call them, to keep being terrible. Because why? They know there isn't going to be any real consequences for being a terrible politician. Seems like that's what all Washington has to offer. The individuals who have the final say so right now in the Democratic Party specifically mention Trump to voters every chance they get, because voters are terrified of Trump becoming president again. Look, I get it. I don't want Trump to be president either. But how are you going to convince other people who are not in your party that choosing you would be a better choice of choosing over Trump? So I get it. But what the Democratic Party also do, or what they also do is use it as a fundraising mechanism for their party. Let's just be honest. They say this stuff, they send these emails, and without them actually ever doing anything, they use it as a fundraising mechanism. And as always, continue to fail to address their voters' needs. The majority of this country needs, as it relates to policy that helps benefit ordinary people. So it does not just hurt your own voters within your party, it hurts everyone abroad, especially ordinary people in this country who are just trying to do the right thing in life and live. And they're not being provided the basic necessities to do that. So let's get something straight, you guys. When you are not counteractive to terrible Democratic politicians and say, we don't like you, but we really don't like the other option even more. So we'll vote for you anyway without pushing for a terrible politician to do better. Then guess what? They're not going to do better. You see what I mean? We have to keep pushing the envelope because if we don't, they're not going to do anything. They're just not going to do anything. And not pointing that out every chance that we get, it does not help the situation. And I know some folks will say, oh my God, that means, you're pro MAGA or whatnot or whatever. When you have President Biden, for example, here's an example. This is what makes people mad. People, women's reproductive rights are being took away from them. Okay. You have President Biden giving Mitch McConnell, a anti-choice right winger, a lifetime appointment as a federal judge. See how that don't make sense? You can't push for something and then turn around and give the opposition something that they want that's going to hurt the American people. If you were going to do that, then go run as a Republican. Go run on their ticket. But what frustrates people the most, and it has consistently been this way since I can last remember, the Democrats always say the right stuff, but fail to do anything. And they wonder why people dislike them as much as they do. You can't just say stuff and think that that's going to be enough. You have to actually do something. So we as people just can't enable failure. And that's what's been happening in the Democratic Party. That failure as a result, as a result, it empowers the GOP. But the people who know this and speaks up against this insanity are labeled to be the bad guy in some bizarre way. Like, give me a break. The polls show that Democratic misgivings about Biden seem to mostly melt away when presented with a choice between him and Trump. 92% of Democrats said they would stick with Biden. This was according to the New York Times. This is why progressives take primaries seriously and win these matchups, because we know by the time the general election comes around, what's been the likely outcome is choosing the lesser of two evils. And as a electorate body, need to move away from the type of mentality. Give people the best choice possible. That's why it's important, again, to hammer home this point. Progressives need to take primaries seriously. And we need to win, because the more progressive you have rolling around when it comes to up to the general election, you have the candidate selection, you have the primaries, Democratic primaries, which means you hear thoughts expressed, you hear policies expressed by different candidates. If you have more progressive minded candidates, you're likely to get a progressive as a president. If you have a bunch of corporate Democrats winning in primaries, guess what? We're going to be picking the lesser of two evils. Once again, this question is for the Democratic Party. Wouldn't you want to convince people that they would like to vote for you or to register as a voter of your party, by providing them on the things that you said that you were going to do when you campaign for it, instead of thinking, fear mongering with fundraising emails, fear mongering what the other party does will ultimately win you the nomination. Just something to think about. If you actually set out to do the things that you say that you're going to do, you wouldn't have to worry about trying to constantly fearmonger over what the other party does. Newsflash, Democratic Party, that's what the opposition does. That's what the GOP does. They fearmonger and placate to their base. Now, it works for them because that's what the people in their base want. It does not work for the Democratic Party. You have to have passion. You have to have empathy. You have to actually do stuff substantively for the American people, for the majority of the people, again, who elected you into office to set out to do the stuff that you said that you were going to do. Again, it's just something to think about. More news after this quick break, guys. Welcome back from the break, guys. So it seems clear that Biden wants to run again in 2024. But, why? You really don't seem to enjoy the job that you do. You don't really want to accomplish or fight for anything. You know, we all remember when he ran, he promised he would not, excuse me, when he ran for president, he promised he wouldn't seek reelection, that he wouldn't seek a second term, that he will only be president for one term if he won. This was an actual statement by President Joe Biden. Okay. What do you think he did? He retracted those statements. Politicians just like the taste of power. That's it. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Power, power, power. Money, power. Power, money. And what I'm about to say, I really don't want to come across as ageist, but Biden is asleep at the wheel. He just is. This is not the time to lack passion and energy to the issues voters are facing as we speak, as people rights in this country are being stripped away from them. Again, it's not mainly about his age, because we know it's plenty of centrist corporate Democrats right now in office would be doing the same exact thing if they were elected as president. That's just a fact. What happened to President Trump is he missed the opportunity to connect and collect more of a broader support system based on how he was president. Plain and simple. Now, one thing I will give Trump, he didn't lack what was fascination and a force of personality. We can't say the same for Biden. Like, I genuinely do not know why Biden would want to run again. He just doesn't even seem like he wants to run. You know what I mean? And it sucks that he could potentially block, if he runs, he could potentially block a much better, more progressive candidate from getting elected. That's the fear I have. Because if Biden was actually doing the things that he said he were going to do, we would be having a totally different discussion. We just would. Last and final thing here. What I am about to read to you is a list put together by TYT News about what Biden promised he would do, but he has not done. Okay, so check this out. Past $2,000 COVID stimulus checks, past $15 federal minimum wage, take meaningful action on climate change, keep the child tax credit, pass universal pre-K, protect reproductive rights, pass the PRO Act, ban new fracking on federal lands, pass meaningful gun control provisions, properly manage COVID outbreaks, pass voting rights, legalize, let alone decriminalize marijuana, forgive meaningful amounts of student loan debt, raise the corporate tax rate, and take action on corporate price gouging like food, gas, the housing market, etc. It is always excuses as to why you couldn't do. It is always excuses of why you couldn't do it. The point is, you didn't fight for it. And Biden is still around here looking for this imaginary support from the other side, as well as using complimenting language to people within his own party who's actively stopping his own agenda, like Kristen Sinema, senator out of Arizona, like Joe Manchin, senator out of West Virginia, etc. It's more people, but those are the two that's really been in the news lately. If you don't care about delivering the agenda for people who did the work to get you elected, that will rightfully so end in the same old failing playbook, which is, you guessed it, defeat. When we come back, guys, we will have the social media break of the show. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, welcome to the social media break of the show. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do this at Dottie_vibe. Let's get into it. The first one here is from Whoop-Ass000. She has a very interesting point here. She says paradox is a self-contradiction. The country currently resides in this country currently resides in self-contradictory state. To some, it might seem more than ever before it came from leaders, their proclamations and actions inside this country and went beyond outwards. It created chaos, fear, and distrust among people worldwide. If US ever could be honest about actions, it could have prevented pointless catastrophes. But it seems it chooses different paths every time it's given an opportunity. Is there a leader we can trust? Such a great point, and it really gives you something to think about. It really, really does. Let's go on to the next one here. This is from the A. Lamone. He says, well, it's a Kevin Gates quote. But he tweeted, when you speak truth around the wrong people, they get offended. And they do. The truth hurts. It's an old saying to say the truth hurts, but it'll set you free. I think it's important to speak the truth. I think that it's important to speak truth to power. And I will say this. I'd rather live my life in truth, regardless of what that truth is, than to live my life continuously as a lie. And I'll just leave it at that. Let's go on to the next one here. Only one Candace Chanel says, you're allowed to wake up one day and decide to change who you are. I agree. We all deserve chances. We all fail, but it's important to learn from your mistakes, accept it, and move on and try to be a better version of you. Let's see. Last one here, guys. This is from Jackson White of TYT. He says, so much of success in life is simply being dedicated to worthwhile endeavors and not caring what other people think about you. I think that's a very great point and a very great way to end this social media break. I hope you all enjoyed the social media break, guys. When we come back, we will be closing out the show. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. That's going to wrap up today's season finale episode of the Progressive Vibe Podcast. Season 6, episode 15, the same old failing playbook. I hope everyone enjoyed today's content. I always have a blast in sharing the news, talking about the news with you, the TP Vibe listeners. I just want you guys to know, as you already hopefully know, that I thank you from the bottom of my heart of what all you have brought here to the Progressive Vibe Podcast. You are the Progressive Vibe, and this show would not be what it is, where it is, if it wasn't for the listeners of the program. Thank you for the, as I said in the intro, enormous amount of support, feedback that the show gets. You guys are truly amazing. And The GOP party is a hot mess right now. The Democratic Party is a hot mess right now because they fail to take the bull by the horn and address the issues that the American people voted for them, put them in office for them to deliver on, and they have turned their back on the people. And I know that that is discouraging. I know that that is disheartening, but I want the people of this program that listens to realize that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have to continue to push the envelope. We have to continue to stay diligent. We have to continue to get organized, to be strategic, and to fight the good fight. And I know that it seems like it's not going to achieve anything, but when it's all said and done, I think that it will. I truly, sincerely mean that. And I think the things that we try to accomplish here on the Progressive Vibe works towards that. It gets the message out. It keeps people engaged, and the show continues to gain listeners. And it's always good to have listeners from all over, here in the U.S., abroad, internationally. Everyone, because it's going to take a team effort. No one can do this job alone, and we have to again keep the pressure on these politicians, because we know that these politicians, these corporate politicians, they have a certain agenda that they're trying to accomplish, which is appease to their donors and not appease to their base, their voting bloc. It is a conflict of interest that is going on within our government, and with the help from the Progressive Vibe podcast, we are going to have a hand into what plays out. And I know that a lot of this news that we cover, guys, I know a lot of it is infuriating, depressing, but that can't allow us to get discouraged. We have to remain optimistic. We have to have an optimistic mindset on our politics. As horrible as it is, we have to stay engaged, because if we disengage, we'll be giving the opposition what they want, and we can't have that, because the only thing that people are trying to do in this country, ordinary people are trying to do in this country, is live the best life that they can live. But the people of this country needs the basic necessities to function in life, and they're not being given that. And that's what this platform is trying to exploit. and the listeners of this show help do that. And that's why the credit goes to you, the listeners. That's why the credit goes to you guys. You're way more important than you think that you are. We have to stay optimistic, guys. We have to keep fighting a good fight. We're going to end on that note. I cannot wait for season 7. I hope that you guys are ready for season 7 as well. As the days progress in the near future, I will be having updates on the show, and that entails everything. When we're going to come back for season 7, new achievements that the podcast has made, more ambitions, more goals that we set out to do here on the Progressive Vibe podcast. All that in due time. But for now, we're going to end the season finale. I love you guys. Try to stay positive out there the best you can. Stay progressive. I hope everyone has a great rest of their Sunday. Have a great week. Until then, we will catch you in the next one. Spread peace, spread love. Love you guys.